Hello, everybody. Welcome to a very special episode of Audio Judo. My name's Kyle.
And I'm Matthew. Hello. Today we have a very special interview with a legendary singer, Fish. Some of you may know him from the progressive rock group in the 80s, Marillion. He's had a very successful solo career since then, and he is here to talk about state of the world right now and also his upcoming record, Weltschmerz. How you doing, Fish?
I'm doing fine, Kyle. Hello, Matthew. It's just when I get a Skype call from Randy Valentine, it's like, I think we'll tell that one to fuck off.
Yeah, we tell him that all the time.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate name. I suppose it's the same if somebody got a call through from Derek Dick, you know what I mean?
Hey, well, welcome to Audio Judo. We're so grateful that you took some time to talk to us today. First of all, how are you doing amidst all of this global chaos that we're kind of going? What's it like up in Scotland right now?
We're doing okay. I mean, I'm lucky. I mean, I don't live in a box in Naples, and I don't live in kind of a small apartment in Berlin or London or whatever. You know, I mean, we live in the country, so I've got a big garden. So I mean, today was kind of, it's just kind of adjusting. I mean, we don't. My wife and I we're not kind of gregarious people. I mean, a big thing for us is going to see our local kind of soccer team, Hibernian,
Mm-hmm.
And of course that's all being kiboshed now. So I mean, we're not we don't go out to clubs and, pubs is not kind of been, since I stopped drinking 3 months ago, pubs are not kind of high up on the agenda or things to do. And so, I mean, we tend to, I wouldn't say we've been self-isolating, but we've been kind of used to living like this for a while, but now it's like, I had to go down and get my mum's prescription kind of yesterday or 2 days ago, and it was like, going down to the town took on a whole different, it was a whole new adventure. It was a bit strange, and getting used to standing 2 meters behind people in the chemist and the pharmacy and stuff. It was kind of a bit strange. And then today, I was down buying a bunch of flour because my wife bakes as well. So, and it was, I was buying a 16 kilogram bag of flour. Well, 16 kilogram bag of organic white flour and a 16 kilogram of strong bread. And I was feeling guilty because it was like, I'm not, I wasn't bulk buying. It was just a lot cheaper buying 16 kilograms than a bunch of 1.5. So we do go through it, But I mean, yeah, so I mean, it's different. I mean, it's kind of crept up on us. I mean, since, as we watched kind of China happen and unfold, the whole Wuhan thing, and then it moving into Italy, and then it exploding in Italy. Mm-hmm. We were in rehearsals, and I was thinking this is a really stupid idea to go out and go on tour. But I mean, the problem was that the government, the UK government, wasn't turning around and shutting venues down. They weren't telling us that we couldn't. Right. And because they weren't shutting the venues down and telling us that all kind of gigs were banned or all venues were banned, we were in this position where myself and my promoter, he's been an old friend of mine. He's been doing my work in the UK for quite a few years now. And, we were in a stage where if I pulled out, if I just said, no, I'm not doing it, then the venues could go at him for basically non-fulfillment of contract. And they would go for the cost of the venue hire plus of him, and he would have no other kind of option but to come for me. And it was a ridiculous situation. And the first gig we did in Aberdeen, I mean, we went up to Aberdeen, which is about 3.5 hours up the road from us. And, we had the First Minister of Scotland turn around and saying that she wanted to ban all venues over 500. But she doesn't really have the authority to do that because it's still under a UK Gov rule. And we're kind of going, this is weird. And we're all sitting in the dressing room. We weren't mingling. We weren't going out for a beer before the gig. We weren't going out to a restaurant to eat. We were just sitting in the dressing room from the moment we got there and after sound check. And then, everybody was very aware of what was going on, listening to the news bulletins and things. And then after the gig, I got in a car and drove home. And I was driving home, and there was a whole thing about the football leagues. And they were saying that, with them, they decided to stop the league. And there was talk then about, they were leaving themselves open because the broadcasting companies could turn around and go at them for non-fulfillment of contract. And it was a really vague area, and nobody really knew what was happening. And then there was a big meeting on the Monday at Cobra, which is kind of like the big high-end government kind of minister meeting to decide what happens in this country in emergency situations. And, they turned around and said, well, we advise people not to go to theatres, etc. And it's like, they didn't shut the gigs down. So they're turning around and saying to people, basically, don't go to gigs. But they're not turning around at the gigs and saying, don't do it. And it kind of, it wasn't very helpful at all.
Exactly.
And, but by that point, I mean, on the Saturday, we'd had 150 no shows at the Aberdeen gig, which was about 20% of the audience.
Wow.
Or 20% of the ticket buying public. It was a sold out gig. And, we're kind of going, well, if that translates to the next gig, and especially going down to London, so we were going to be driving 7 hours down to London to do gigs. And we didn't even know if the gigs would be on by the time we reached London. And we were facing, with being the city and, everybody dependent on public transport and the underground, etc. We were looking at a 30%, 40% no show. And, on top of that, I mean, I was exposing, my own guys, especially my merchandise girl, and I'm asking her to be in a foxhole at the front line of everything, and it was like, I felt bad as a boss. I felt bad as a person. I felt bad for the fans that were going through the same dilemma as we were, deciding themselves whether they're going to show up at a gig. But I mean, even now, it's still vague territory, but I mean, I'm glad I made the decision. And that my promoter agreed because, as I said, we got to that stage at the weekend where, this is stupid. Stop now, So now we're in a situation where, none of my band and crew have got any work for months. I mean, the same way as a lot of musicians and crew guys and merchandisers and lighting crew and trucking guys and, and it's hitting all sorts of different areas of the music business. But I mean, we just have to accept it. I mean, this is far bigger than the music, and we've just got to rethink how we deal with it. I mean, the Weltschmerz album, I mean, I'm going to be announcing next week that we have to put it back to September. I mean, we were broadside on for a July 10th release, but, now we're looking at borders closing, we're looking at difficulty in trucking, obviously medicines and food take priority. We don't know what's going to happen with the mail, with the postage. Is it going to get through? Are they going to shut it down? I mean, today I got an order, an Amazon thing came in, and, the guy was standing 4 meters away from the door, rang the doorbell, ran away, and, and it came out, and, you knew what he was doing. But at the same time, I mean, it's not registered with people. We had a guy today, he got a mail order item from us, and he was complaining that he'd ordered tracked and signed for. And that, the guy had rung the doorbell and he hadn't signed for it. And he said, you should complain to the post office. He's like, no, that employee is basically ringing a lot of doorbells and he doesn't know what's in the other side of that door. And he's going back to a family and he's going back to friends and stuff. So, I mean, everybody's got to adjust and be considerate about, other people and other people's work. I mean, it's a creepy time.
It's scary. Yeah. Well, yeah. Kyle and I and Randy all work in the entertainment industry in Las Vegas, and it's very similar. I work.
What's it like in Las Vegas just now?
Right now, it's a ghost town.
Shut down. Yeah. I mean, is the strip closed and stuff?
Yes, it's a ghost town down there. They closed all the hotels. They closed all the venues.
They literally have chains on a lot of the doors because since the casinos are open 24 hours, a lot of the doors don't have locks on them. So they literally just run chains around a lot of the handles and things to keep them shut. It's very bizarre.
It's very strange. Yeah, we were running into the same situation. Like, do you cancel the gigs, or you cancel the whatever show you have coming in or do you leave it in the hand of the artist? And they were kind of balking at it. They were kind of in the middle. They didn't know what they wanted to do, and it's like, well, maybe if we cancel one of the shows instead of both of the shows, then that'll be better. I'm like, but you're still exposing.
It doesn't make
2,000 people, 3,000 people a night.
It doesn't make fucking sense, No. I mean, I think we just got to grab the proverbial bull with the horn. Just go like, we've got to solve this. I mean, I've lived here. I mean, I've got my mum lives with us, and my wife and I look after my mum, and she's 87-year-old. Mm-hmm. And when the band were here for rehearsals, we had to, we just said, don't go through. And I said to my mum, don't come through and say hi. Let's just keep yourself in isolation, So, and you're very aware that, I mean, myself, I had sepsis twice last year. And I was blue lighted in an ambulance into the hospital, on both occasions. Mm-hmm. So, my immune system took a real whack last year. So, I mean, I'm 62 and, I'm a little bit nervous, but I mean, I'm a pretty strong guy. But I mean, this takes out anybody, and I think the problem is the information. I mean, first they were saying, well, young people don't get it. And then, then all of a sudden it's like, well, yeah, there's incidences of young people getting it. I mean, we know already, 2 people. I mean, my stepdaughter is in, she's down in Gran Canaria, and she's down there with her Polish boyfriend. And she's in this weird situation where they drove down. She's a windsurfing instructor, as is her boyfriend. So they went down to work the summer. So the primary job is windsurfing instructor, etc. Secondary job is, if someone falls apart, they get a job in restaurants. They drove down in a camper van and in a mobile home vibe, and they've got a dog. So they're down there now. So Spain's in lockdown. They're not allowed to leave the motorhome and together. Only one can go out and walk the dog, and they're in a situation where they can't get any work because they're not allowed on the beach. All the restaurants are closed, and they're sitting there, with funds that, that are depleting. That, my wife and I are going to have to kind of sort something out with. But they're in a position where if they want to repatriate, then the Polish boyfriend has got to fly back to Poland. He's not allowed to fly back to Germany.
Right.
And my stepdaughter is not allowed to fly to Poland because she's a German citizen. She's got to fly to Germany. And they've got a dog in Gran Canaria, and they've got their motorhome there. Okay. And they're not allowed to get on there's no ferries, and they can't drive across Spain.
Jeez.
So, I mean, there's all sorts of stuff going on. And, my lighting guy, Angus, he's been out in Canada. He's been working in Vancouver for the last 6-7 months. He's got a 2-year Canadian work visa, and he came back to do the tour. And he came back, and the day after the tour, his flight was cancelled, and he's now in a situation where he can't fly back to Vancouver. And he's got a car, he's got a house there, and his girlfriend was out there, and she's having to fly back on the Sunday. So I mean, there's all this going on. I mean, it's like living in a 1970s science fiction film. It's very strange.
Very much so. My middle son is actually quarantined in a house in Varese, Italy, right now, just outside Milan. So we talk to him. We talk to him every day, but yeah, he's on lockdown there, and he can't get back. He's stuck there. So there's nothing much you can do right now. Just kind of
you've got to adjust. I mean, there's no point in mourning. I mean, one of the things, I know my bass player Steve Ances. He lives down in Birmingham, which is one of the heavy clusters. There's a bad cluster down in the Midlands, and I mean, the thing we've got, and I've been reading from the news, it's the same thing as you guys have got. It's like the people that are panic buying. It's ridiculous. They're going in and buying ridiculous amounts of stuff.
Yep.
And it's like, no, the supermarkets are able to feed the material through. So just take it easy, buy what you normally buy, but just when you go to the store, adopt a different attitude.
Yeah.
But as I said, I mean, we're lucky. I mean, I'm a gardener. I mean, today I was out there putting a cloche up on one of the big beds, and so I was planting loads of salads and radishes and stuff. So I mean, as I said, I'm lucky I can get out of the house, and we've got a decent piece of land that I can work and I can grow food on, which is kind of is great for me. But I mean, we're looking at growing extra so that we can share with people.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
That's awesome.
I mean, as I said, I mean, I was down at the mill today. The local flour mill. You couldn't buy flour in the supermarkets, and we normally buy flour down at this mill. And they said today that it was kind of they were absolutely overrun, and they had the gate locked in front of the mill, and you stood at the gate, and the guy came out with a barrel with the two sacks, and it was But he was saying as well, I mean, that the price of wheat is just going up by £20 a ton.
Yep.
And and there's a lot of people, as always in this situation, the ugly head of capitalism rears its head, and everything suddenly becomes very expensive. I mean, I've been taking immune boosters, since I had sepsis last year, and it suddenly went up from 60 quid up to nearly 100 quid on Amazon. And we just went straight to the manufacturer and bought it for what we paid the last time. But I mean, there's a lot of exploiting go on, and curse those people. I mean,
yep.
It's shame on them.
Yeah,
Absolute shame.
that's happening here too. That's happening with everything. With the surgical masks, are supposed to be 95 cents a piece to produce, and now they're trying to charge $7 to produce them. It's like, come on.
That's ugly, man. I mean, there's karma going to come back into some people, you know. I mean, but then again, we're learning a huge lesson. I mean, I was reading that, a lot of the test kits and stuff were getting produced in the Dominican Republic, and and most of the masks are getting produced in China, and this is the problem. This is the problem is shining a spotlight at the problem of globalization. Everybody wants cheap stuff, so you want cheap labor, so you go to other countries to exploit cheap labor in other countries, and then suddenly you find yourself completely dependent on that as a supply source. And I think we've got to learn a lesson that maybe we've got to rethink this whole thing, and start manufacturing stuff ourselves, and also rather than just going for the cheapest, we're going to have to pay what the thing's worth, and we're going to have to recognize that people make these things and need a job and get paid for them. And and if that turns down, then maybe the whole consumer society will have to completely revalue kind of exactly what it does with stuff. So it is. This is a big wake up. It was interesting. There was a group of people in the news the other day, and they were all dressed in hazmat suits. And they went up to number 10, which is kind of where the Prime Minister of the UK lives, and and they had a big sign with the pause kind of symbol on it, and it was like, pause. This is time to take stock of exactly where we are at. Not as a nation, but as a planet, we need to take stock. I mean, it was interesting to see footage coming out of Venice, and there was fish in the canals for the first time in forever.
Yeah, I saw that dolphins were in there.
Yeah, the water had cleaned up, and then suddenly, you start looking at the Google images of Italy, and suddenly there aren't the vape trails from planes, and there are less cars about, and maybe this is a bit of a wake-up call at the same time. Maybe we have to completely rethink how we deal with our lives.
That's a good segue into your new record.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't have picked a better title.
No, exactly. So the title means world pain, correct? Is that
world pain in the world? It's kind of it was a word I picked up. My wife's German, and when we got together way back in 2011. She lived in Germany, I lived here. So I was spending 4 months or so of my life out in Germany, living in Karlsruhe, which a lot of Americans are very aware. It was a big American army base back in the day. And, I speak a bit German, and my daughter's half German. My daughter from my first wife is half German. So, I mean, I'm very aware. I love Germany, and I love German words, and, like I say, I speak a bit of the language. And Weltschmerz, I just loved as a word that sounds great. And at the time, I was watching the news and seeing what was going on, and very aware of the pain of the world. And when it came to doing the album, I really didn't want to write an album that was about corporates and banking systems and big business, and I want to stay away from that. People have done that. It's a cliche now. It's it was the same way as when I dealt with World War I with a Highwood Suite on the Feast of Consequences album. I mean, I had to be very careful how I handled it. And walk away from familiar, well-trodden paths. And
great
with
Weltschmerz,
I decided to do what I was best at, which was do observational writing. So it was about, I decided to write every song about, it was all about people. It was about people dealing with the world they were living in, And, it's a very heavy subject matter on it. I mean, Rose of Damascus is a song that's about a refugee coming from Syria towards Europe. There, but for the grace of God, is about a man dealing with his own mortality and growing old. Man with a Stick was written about. It was about my father who died in May 16, right at the start of when I was starting writing, and it was it was just about getting old, and then the songs like Waverley Steps is about male suicide and about depression. Then you've got Walker on Eggshells is again a kind of mental health kind of song, but it sounds very down and very dark, but it's not. It's a bit like Sergio Mendes' approach to American Beauty, where he dealt with heavy duty social issues, but he did them in such a beautiful way that you kind of you don't feel down, but you kind of you walk into he turns the ugliness into a beauty, And it very much the same way as I did with the Clutching at Straws album with Marillion, where I took a lot of very dark subjects and it's like Sugar Mice and White Russian, and and turned them into songs that they entered you in a different way. I mean, I've always said, I write movies for people's ears. That's kind of what I do. And even, as I say, my 87-year-old mother came through and heard The Rose of Damascus, and she read the lyric and heard the song. And she went, "This is a movie." She said, "This isn't a song, it's a movie." And that's kind of what I'm doing nowadays. I mean, I'm kind of writing, little screenplays, but that's what I want to do when I retire in a couple of years, although that retirement part has been put back as well because of exactly what's happening at the moment,
So this is so that was kind of leads me to this next question. This is your 11th studio record.
I don't know what those count, man.
Yeah, you still sound great. You sound great, but you keep calling this your final studio album. Why did you feel like now is the time?
Because I've done it. It's like, even on this album, there was a couple of times where I was, singing stuff, and I'm going, wait a minute, I did that on Vigil. That's a song from Vigil, and the thing is, I'm a writer who can sing. I'm not a singer who can write, and there's a complete difference in that. And I love words. I don't play an instrument. I don't understand music. I sing. Somebody plays me something, gives me a rhythm. I can build something on it and work it. But I feel like I've done it now. I've kind of, I've covered the Heartache, and I've covered a lot of other things. I've done World War One. I'm doing now. But I mean, I just kind of, I want to branch out and do something else. I want to flex my wings a wee bit, and writing lyrics within songs it's quite constricting. It kind of restrains. I mean, I can read. I've been reading like Cormac McCarthy. I've been reading like things like John Steinbeck, and I love that. And I love that to be able to just move words like that and create stories, and that's really what I want to do. And between that and gardening, I mean, I'm 62. And I'm a realist. I mean, I'm not going to go up to playing arenas off the back of this album. And it's the music business has changed. I mean, I'm going to be playing the kind of level of gigs that I'm playing at for the next 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
That is the way it works. That is the truth. And I don't want to be on a nightliner traveling about from city to city at 62, 63, 64-year-old. And people going, "You're going to sing Kaylee and blah blah blah." Nah, I don't want to do that. I've got a beautiful garden here that I get very excited about. Believe me, we don't even want to start talking about gardening because it's like, I mean, and I love books, and I love, I've been reading a lot more in the last year, and that's what I want to do. It's not a case of, I don't look at it as how can I make $1 million or anything like that. I've never approached life like that. Money's a means to do things. Like I said, I mean, what we're, on this Weltschmerz album, I've got members of the Scottish Chamber Orchestra, I've got brass sections. If I was with a major label, doing that, the A&R guys wouldn't even let me touch it. They're going, "You're going over the recording budget." Now, I decide how I want to do it. I don't budget an album. It's like, I just want it to sound great. It's like, if we can afford to do it, if we've got an extra bit of money, let's get 7 string players in, And that's the way I do it. And then once I make it, then I try and sell it. And if I get my money back on that, then great, And that's kind of where I'm at. I don't have, I told you before, I mean, I'm not a kind of gregarious person. I mean, I have my garden, I have my season ticket for my soccer club. I go down the pub every now and again and drink alcohol-free beer. I've got a Skoda car. I don't drive kind of like heavy-duty vehicles. I've got a very, my lifestyle is not expensive, and I'm not a person that has to be in the lap of luxury. I don't carry security, blah blah blah. It's like, I don't. It's not expensive to be me. So I can do kind of what I want when I want to do it, and as I said, I mean, I just felt that this album, I don't want to keep on, batting away and feeling that I've got to make an album. I mean, this is the first album that I put out since 2012. I could have put out probably 3 albums in that time, but I wouldn't have been proud of them. I don't think they would have been great pieces of work. And I don't want to be one of those bands that feels got to deliver a piece of plastic every 18 months,
right.
just to keep the bank balance up. I don't have to do that. So when I make a statement, when I put something together, it's special. And Weltschmerz is definitely special. And I always said that, when I'm finished my solo career, I wanted to finish it the same way as I finished my time with Marillion. I mean, I was part of creating what I thought was the best album we did as a group, and Clutching at Straws, which has always been kind of, the problem in a way, because everybody's always going, well, what would have happened if they did another album? When are you going to go back to Marillion? That ain't going to happen. Right. And, I left the band at the right time, and I left the band on an ultimate high, and I left with a big question mark. Right.
Yes, you did.
I left with a big question mark of what would have happened next. What would they have written next? I did Vigil next. Right.
Yeah.
And in the same way as with Weltschmerz, I want to leave my solo career on a high. I don't want to go out with, I want to finish the firework display with a big bang. I don't want it going out with some weak Catherine wheel,
We did a podcast recently about the greatest last albums in somebody's career. So, we want to put this one on there then. Definitely.
Yeah, and to be honest, it's like, as we opened up this entire conversation, I mean, these are changing times. This is going to change things completely. I mean, everything's going to change after this. Do not think that we're going to go back to normality, in 4 months' time. I've got a tour booked in October, November. I don't even know if that's going to happen. Right. And it's, so, we don't know what's going to happen. So it's like, I think it's a good time I have it to say this is my last album, because it is an album of its time. I mean, Weltschmerz, I could have called the damn thing Zeitgeist,
So I'm a huge album art junkie, and one of my favorites is Mark Wilkinson. Obviously, is he doing all the artwork for this one as well?
Yeah, I mean, Mark has done every album that I've ever made, apart from Songs for the Mirror, which came out in 1983, and that was a covers album.
Yeah.
And the reason he never did that album, because it was a covers album, and I wanted a different artist to do it, because it wasn't kind of definitively part of kind of the career in a way. It was a different album. And but I mean, Mark is very involved in Weltschmerz. I mean, we've both spent a lot of time, and we both hit the wall a couple of times on a lot of ideas. I mean, there's been times when I've been staring at blank pages, and I've gone through big periods of writer's block. I mean, as I said, I had sepsis twice, had to deal with my dad dying. I woke up in the garden after 7 months and wondered where the hell the time had gone. And it was, and there's been a lot of issues and things happened that have derailed it and stalled it and blocked it and stuff. But we've come through it, and, it's a superlative piece of work, and I'm really proud of it. So, and that's, as I said, that's where I want to leave my solo career.
That's awesome. So you were saying release dates, you're pushing those back to September, is that correct?
September sometime. I don't know when.
Okay.
We're just saying it's September. I've got dates, but it could move. We don't know. These are uncertain times. I mean, I don't think anybody can kind of be rigid about, release dates or tour dates or anything at the moment. It's strange times, man.
People want to get the information. The website for you is fishmusic.scot. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's fishmusic.scot, and that's the only place you can buy the album as well.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, but I mean, we're putting a new mail order thing, and we're putting all this. We've got a new mail order system in, and we've got like electronic customs data stickers, which we didn't have before. And, and that's just the way we do it. If you want the album, I'm not interested in selling millions and millions and millions of albums. I mean, that would probably be a pain in the ass for me, I mean, if I actually had a really, really big hit album, it would be a pain in the ass, right? I mean, we sell it from here. I mean, my wife's I've been signing the Script for Justice here remasters. They're stacked up through in her living room, ready to go. And that's where we do it. When Feast of Consequences, we did about 25,000 albums. And it was like, we sold them direct. I mean, I went through Amazon, but I mean, I don't see the point of going to other outlets, because other outlets just go up to the internet these days.
Right.
So all you're doing is create your own competition. So why bother? And we can deal with it, with this little cottage thing. As I said, we don't. There's only me and the wife that work here, And when we take, if we've got a big mail out going on, we get some students in and they help us out. It's just real kind of. It's beautiful. It's small and it's beautiful. And I don't subscribe to corporate. I do not subscribe to corporate.
Right.
No.
I think that's great, because it means that you are making it for you. You're making what you actually want to make, instead of making, like you said earlier, something that's just for the sales, That's
exactly.
fantastic.
That's exactly what it's all about. And if it sells, then great. And then, you know, I can look at putting up, you know, I'm looking at putting, you know, some spectacular new raised beds in the garden. You know, I want to try and, you know, get this place, you know, as self-sufficient as possible. I mean, I'm not a prepper, but it's like, you know, I might as well be now. But, you know, I want to put up kind of, you know, solar panels on the roof and stuff. And, you know, that's where it goes. Well, you know, once I've paid the tax, man, it's like, you know, that's where it goes. You know, I don't go out and go, well, yeah, I better go and buy a Jaguar or anything like that. It's like, kind of, you know, we do things here. We do things around us. And, like, you know, it's like I said, I don't really feel under pressure. I don't feel under commercial pressure. I don't, you know, it's not like when I was with EMI where, you know, where's the next Kaylee? You know, you've got to break America.
All right.
I mean, on the subject of America, I mean, I would love to come out. I mean, if I won Euro Millions, right, it would be wonderful to take my band out and just go across America and do a gig, 3 days off, look about, visit places, do things, you know, film stuff, take photographs, write things down, observe, and just do a kind of a journey. You know, that's, you know, rather than a tour. I mean, it's one of the things I hate about touring. It's like you never get the chance to really see places. And America, I mean, yeah, I would love to be able to tour America, but the problem is the figures do not stack up. I mean, by the time I paid for visas, by the time I paid for this, that, and the other, and blah, 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 and dealt with taxes and legal issues and insurance issues, you know, it just doesn't make sense, you know, and I can't afford, I mean, although I'm not, you know, kind of desperate to get money, I also can't afford to lose shitloads of money, you know. Right. And I mean, the last American tour I did, I mean, the only reason it survived, right, was because we went to the fans and we, I don't know if you know about this, but like, you know, when the venue's taking a percentage of the merchandise was keeping that tour alive. I mean, it was absolutely, it was, the entire tour was floating on T-shirts, right? And so what we did was we got the fans to find out an Irish bar close to the venue, and we contacted the Irish bar, right? And we said to them, can we come round and sell shirts in your bar at 5 o'clock, right? And we'll guarantee we'll bring you in 100 people into the bar, you know, when it's kind of empty. And they agreed it, and that's how we did it. So we sold shirts, and we sold CDs in the Irish bars around about the venues, so we didn't have to pay the percentages to the venues.
That's smart.
And that $30,000 that I earned on T-shirts basically meant that I made $2,000 on that entire tour, right? You know, those shirts sold in the Irish bars basically kept that tour together, right?
That's crazy.
And that's what, you know, and it's, you know, it was fun at the time, you know. And, you know, we took a gamble and we didn't lose and we didn't win. You know, we had a lot of fun, but I can't do that at 62-year-old. You know, I mean, I've got a house and, you know, and I don't want to start getting into negative, you know.
I need to somehow convince my wife to let me go to the UK then next year to see your tour.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. I mean, like I said, with the farewell tour, we might try and do something. But I mean, you know, I mean, in all likelihood, it's a kind of, you know, this isn't like getting on a bus and going down the road. This is about, you know, this is flights and a lot of heavy duty costs.
Sure, of course.
Know? But I mean, I love it. I mean, you know, it's not that I don't want to come to America. It's just that I can't afford to come to America. And, you know, when you get guys in Philadelphia or San Fran or Chicago going, yeah, you got to come, you got loads of fans here. It's like, yeah, well, you're on the Facebook and you're telling me there's loads of fans there. Tell me that there's 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 fans that you know, right? And then, you know, then we've got a tour. But it's like, you know, I mean, I've got the same problem in Europe. I mean, you know, Spain and Barcelona, with people on Facebook saying, you've got to come down, you've got loads of fans here. And then because I only sell through Fish Music, and at the time we were selling through Amazon, right? And it was digital. I think I sold 4 albums in Spain, right? And they said, oh, well, you got hundreds of fans in there. And we don't buy albums, right? I said, well, you don't digital download. No, we don't buy them. We just pirate them. Oh. And I said, well, you know, you're pirating albums. It's like, well, it's, you know, great. Money. I made nothing of that. And then they said, oh, you got to come down. You know, we went down to Madrid and Barcelona. We played to 400 people a night, you know, and we lost money on those 2 shows, you know. And I can't afford to do it. As much as I really want to go down and play a show, go anywhere and play a show, you're ruled by guarantees. And I have to work on the guarantees. And the guarantees have got to cover the cost of the bus and all the wages. I mean, you know, it's not like it's 5 guys that share what happens. I employ guys to work and play with me, you know what I mean? So it's, but, as I said, I mean, it's a reality I accept. I don't get miserable about it, I feel sorry for American fans that, don't get to see me, but I mean, they just have to understand that it's just not feasible to work at this moment in time. But then again, if Weltschmerz happens and, there's a rise, but, it's we'll just have to see how it goes.
Totally understand.
Who knows what the future holds?
Exactly.
You just got to play it day by day, and especially at this moment in time, you got to play it day by day.
So I don't want to keep you from your evening, and especially from your mom. I'm very grateful that you took some time to talk to us.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
Thanks for giving me the coverage. Nice to talk to you guys. It's like, just take care and stay safe, boys. You know what I mean?
You too, especially. Okay. And say, if it's Mother's Day over there, wish your mom a happy Mother's Day from us.
Yes, please.
Well, I'll do. Okay.
And take care.
Take care, guys.
Yeah, you too.
Take care, Fish.
All right. Bye.
So that was our interview with Fish. Thank you so much again for being available to talk to us. We really appreciate it. Thankfully, we get to play the title track from Weltschmerz. I hope I'm pronouncing that right for you right now. So here it is.
Let me introduce myself. I'm simply a man of our time. Confused and bewildered, I seem to live without reason or rhyme. Betrayed by a system, I've given up trying to change. Let me tell you now for nothing, I am back in the game. I've gorged on the knowledge, feasted on the digital feed. I have discerned through my wisdom that all cannot be believed. The conclusion that we have all been deceived, and that our freedoms and democracy are not what they seem. I fall myself a very deep hole. I came to in a country I once considered a home that has been lost to the scoundrels and the rogues and a circus of clowns.
That was the title track from Fish's upcoming release, Weltschmerz. And you can get a hold of him at all these places.
His website is fishmusic.scot. That is FISHMUSIC.SCOT, as in Scotland.
Yeah.
His Twitter is at FishDerekDick. His Instagram is at FishDerekDick. And on Facebook, if you just search for Fish Musician, he'll come up. And that's FISH, not the other Fish.
Yeah, we are super grateful that he took his Sunday evening to talk to us about
his Mother's Day Sunday evening, no less.
Exactly. That's a big deal.
It is.
And you can continue to get a hold of us at info@audiojudo.com or Instagram, Audio Judo, Twitter, Audio Judo, Facebook just
Facebook audio. Is just facebook.com/Audio Judo.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But please do, if you have any questions for us about the interview, or if we might get to speak with Fish again. His album is supposed to be coming out later this year. Mm-hmm. And if we might get to do another quick little interview with him. So if you have any questions you want us to ask him, please email us those questions, info@audiojudo.com, and we will try to pass them along when we get to talk to him again.
In the meantime, everybody stay safe out there.
Please.
And we will talk to you soon.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.